Hi, thanks for joining me on another episode of the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast. Today I'm joined by Stephanie Marshall. Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, your business, and how you actually became a bookkeeper.
Okay, hi. Well, firstly, thank you for having me. I'm Stephanie. I am a member of the ICB, a fellow of the ICB. I'm a bookkeeper and accountant with over a decade of experience. I run ABCS UK, which is my practice, but I also am a podcast host of the 3Bs podcast, which is why it's so strange being on this side of the podcast rather than being the host. And also best-selling author of Finance for Life, a book teaching financial education to teenagers aged 16 to 19. I started as a bookkeeper very early on. So although I'm mid-30s, I've got over 16 years of experience now. I've been bookkeeping since I left school. And that gives me a whole world of experience in many different industries, both self-employed, freelance and employed roles. But I come from motorsport. Motorsport is my passion. My dad was a master tech. I was fixing cars before I could stand and was in Formula One very early on. And then in my teenage years, being from Scunthorpe, I was part of Scunthorpe Speedway, and I gradually made my way through the ranks there, and then went on to British Touring Cars when I moved to Kent. And one of my first freelance bookkeeping jobs was a bookkeeper and accountant for a British Touring Car racing team.
Wow. And this is where my personal little shout out goes out to Stephanie, because Stephanie's the one who helped me guide me to help my podcast. So this is my personal thank you in this episode. So thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Now, going on to what is the one word you could describe your relationship with technology in your business at the moment?
Oh, that's a good one. I think synchronicity. I think technology and I work so well together, and the business wouldn't work without technology. So yeah, synchronicity.
Cool. So now we're going on to about your favorites. So what is the app or software you simply couldn't run your business without?
Yeah, it's ClickUp for me. It is my CRM. It's the backbone of my business. And it was around long before some of the more popular ones in our industry came around. So ClickUp for me is the app that my business would not run without, and my life, because I run my life from it too.
Okay. So how did you discover it? Was it sort of a game changer from straight to subscribing it, or was it kind of a slow burner that you had to put a lot of time and effort to make it work for you?
No. It was straight from the bat. I needed a software because our practice doesn't just do the standard compliance of bookkeeping and accountancy. We do business development too. So we do email marketing, we build systems, we build CRMs for clients, we do marketing campaigns and train them in other areas of business and strategy that the standard industry specific CRMs just weren't viable. So I looked for a much broader CRM, and ClickUp, being fully customizable and built to suit my business, was what was the real USP for me.
Cool. So what kind of problems did it solve for you? So you said obviously it's your main CRM, but what other problems has it solved for you going forward? I mean, you've used this CRM ClickUp for quite a while now, so it must have solved quite a few problems.
Oh, absolutely. So my CRM is my to-do list. It is my recurring task list. It is where we keep all our notes on our clients. It is where our main Bible, if you like, all our SOPs live in there. All our procedures and policies are in there. Our links to, like, it connects with OneDrive, so all of our client storage files are all kept in there as well. It sends automated emails for all the laborious tasks you don't want to do. So on the 20th of every month, for example, all our payroll clients get an email saying it's time to do your payroll. Let us know of any changes. Please upload, whatever the specific information is. We build that automation from the beginning when we take them on board. But it literally runs the business. And now with the new features that are coming in, it's integrated with OpenAI. So ChatGPT that everyone talks about is built into my CRM. So it knows my business inside and out because it can see that data. It also does, you can do a meeting. I put all my meeting notes in there. It records and transcribes my meetings. And then I can create an infographic or a brainstorm and send that visual representation to a client so they know what we've discussed in a format that's easy for them to understand. That eliminates any extra software needed. It gives an extra added value to every client that we have. And I just adore the ease of use for it. As the team grows, you have more users, you can tag people and sort of flag things to people and different members of staff so that they can see what task needs to be done. If someone's had a phone call, you can just sort of drop, rather than sending emails back and forth, it's all in one place. And then I built client dashboards, which was the best thing I ever did. So all our communication is kept in a dashboard They can see the questions, they can see my answers, they can refer back to it. It has all their important dates for their VATs and their payrolls. It has links to where all the documents need to be stored, all the contact details in there. I put a little motivational GIF in the top right-hand corner, which I think is just a nice little extra touch from the personal business that I've built. And just everything is built. My business would not run without it at all. It takes over everything.
Perfect. So can you walk us through kind of a day-to-day how you use it in your workflow? So how do you do? Is it one of the first apps you open when you turn your computer on? Because obviously we find that CRMs are integral to kind of storing, like you say, all the data information going in and out. So how do you use it in sort of daily in your workflow?
Yep. So the great thing about ClickUp as well is it's a desktop-based program. If you want it to be, you can access it through the web. And I've got an app on my mobile phone. So even if I'm out and about, I can check the calendar and just see what's going on. It's the first thing I open. I've built my own dashboard so that I only see my tasks that are due that day or due the day after, so that you don't get overwhelmed with the huge long list of to-do lists that we always have as business owners. And I work through the tasks. And it's built in priority order. It's set up to be done in due date order. And I work my way through the tasks. I have a link on the right-hand side to pink and white noise. I find that really helpful in the background. So rather than me spending time going to find things, I click the button, it plays the music in the office so that I can focus. Anything on there, any notes, I've got a brain dump section as well at the bottom. So sometimes, you know what it's like, you'll be scrolling Instagram or LinkedIn in the evening. You're like, oh, I must go and look at that thing. Or, oh, that's really handy, worth remembering. Everything goes into that brain dump. If I'm on the school run and I've got a content idea, it all goes in there. So I know when I get to the end of my to-do list that I can then start tackling some of the brain dump things. Or if it's content creation day, I will go down to the content creation. With the tasks, when you mark them as done, because I've set them up to automate. So if it's weekly bookkeeping, for example, it's in there. Inside every individual task is the SOP, is the scribe, the walkthrough of step-by-step of how to do it. So everything is so systemized and processed that I actually don't have to think until it comes to the actual doing.
Wow. Are there any clever automations or tips you've set up to make your life easier using ClickUp?
All the automations, whether it's sending emails to clients, because it integrates with whatever software you use for an email perspective. So we're Microsoft based. When we send an email from ClickUp to a client, automated or physically, if they reply to that email, not only do you get a copy in your email inbox, but a copy goes into that task that you sent it from. So you've got a full audit trail of to and from, especially when I have a certain client where I will email them on the 20th. Well, I won't. The automation will email them on the 20th and say, okay, it's time to do your payroll. And they will email back with how much they want to pay themselves that month. Yeah. It varies depending on how much work they have. It's very seasonal, their business. So that's the best way that they want to do it. So that's then also kept as an audit trail for me so that I can see in ClickUp, wherever I am, I don't have to go on my emails and try and find the conversation. Everything is kept nice and neat and tidy. The recurring tasks is obviously a great automation because the tasks that we do as bookkeepers that are repetitive, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be, and being able to keep those little notes of those little nuances in each individual client. My biggest tip, and I suppose it's not necessarily ClickUp related, but business management, practice management in general, is to number your clients. I know it sounds really silly, but if you give every client a number, it's so much easier to refer back to them, especially if you've got clients that are constantly changing names, constantly changing trading names or what they're doing. I've got a client that's then branched off 2 more clients. So I have like 5A and 5B. Knowing that they all belong to that director just makes things quick and easy. So in my ClickUp, clients are divided by, they call it a list. So each of my list is the folder in which they're kept in. And it just has the number on it. So as well, when I take on more staff and when I give tasks to certain other individuals in the business, I'm on my own now. I used to have more staff. I could give them access just to the numbers they needed to see. And the data was kept secure that they couldn't see other clients, the name of the businesses and things like that.
Has it helped you scale? Has it helped you save time or even keep your sanity?
All of it. All of the above. All of the above.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how much time I would have to spend doing things manually that I use AI and technology for now.
I know it's kind of absolutely blown our minds with how AI has really inspired us to look and help our clients even more. So have you seen any common mistakes that probably fellow bookkeepers who maybe use ClickUp have done, or seen other users when using ClickUp done? Because obviously ClickUp is kind of not a mainstream, as we would call it, a client kind of management system, but you've adapted it to work to cover every aspect of your business. Do you think there is any aspects where there is common mistakes for using this software?
In all honesty, I only know of 2 others in the industry that use ClickUp, and that's because I built it for them. So I don't think so. I think the common mistakes are probably not setting up the automations properly and understanding the limits of the plan that you're on. When I joined ClickUp back in 2021, so 4 years ago now, a lot of the things that were free to me as a legacy client are no longer free. So the email automations are no longer free. They are part of a paid plan. It's really affordable. I think it's something like, I think I pay £160 a year for 2 people. It's $8 a month or something ridiculous per person, per seat. And then for my clients, they're classed as guests, so you don't pay any extra for people to come in and see what that they need to see. The common mistakes are just not asking for help. Probably that's the biggest mistake I see most people with technology, is trying to muddle through and wasting all that time rather than just going to an expert and saying, how do I get it to do this, or can it do this? Because you just save so much more time that way, and then you get the answer and reduce the frustration.
Yeah. If you had a magic wand and could change one aspect of ClickUp, what would you improve, or would you need to improve anything?
The only thing I need to improve is the OneDrive integration. So Google Drive integrates beautifully. OneDrive is slightly more clunky, and we have to add the links in manually in the custom fields.
Would you recommend it to all bookkeepers out there to use, or does it work with certain kind of bookkeepers, say like e-commerce ones or kind of niche, or you think it's kind of a really good tool for all kind of bookkeepers to use?
I think it's an absolutely great tool. Before Engager was around, that is why I started with ClickUp, because Engager obviously is a very popular CRM for bookkeepers now. That didn't exist when I started my CRM. And because I run, and every business runs slightly differently, there'll be parts of every app that people are like, I wish it wouldn't do that. You know, all of us talk about things like Xero, and we wish they would do the bank rec the way QuickBooks did. There's always parts of other apps that you wish that they would do. But I think with ClickUp, it would suit any business. I'm having great results with clients. Like, I've built ClickUps for my clients to control their stock management, to control their orders, especially when they're clients who do. So I've got a client who does retail and wholesale get a quote, a deposit, and balance deposit and a balance invoice. Whereas the retail just gets straight an invoice up front. And just being able to track all that across a system that will talk to an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, whatever it may be, just means everything's so much easier. And that then also can link into my ClickUp so that I can get to it easy. I'm not looking for extra buttons. I don't need other gadgets or tools to help me click into all these different, so Stream Deck, is it called? With all the buttons. I don't need anything like that because it's all built into my CRM.
If you have paired it with any other tools, what tools have you paired it with, and how has it supercharged its use?
Yeah, so Outlook is the best thing. Having copies of emails and audit trail in the conversation it relates to, I think, is really helpful. OneDrive for all our document storage. It also links with Zapier and things like that, so you can build other automations. You can build it to be your content creation and scheduler as well if you wanted it to, especially with the new ClickUp AI Brain, which again is powered by ChatGPT. So anyone that's been using ChatGPT means that this AI works in a very similar way, and you kind of used to the way that it gives answers and the way to give it the prompts to get the best out of it. I think it connects with lots of different softwares. It can connect with other CRMs as well. So e-commerce stores, Shopify, it can link with all that. One thing we use it for with the podcast is when guests come on board, they fill out their release form with all their information, and that gets put straight into ClickUp, straight into a database, and then automatically puts a line into our Google Sheet so that everything's all in one place for us when we need it.
Fabulous. Now we're going to move away from ClickUp. Apart from ClickUp being your favorite, what are your three go-to apps in your tech stack? What's your three other favorites?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love Apron. I love Apron Capture for receipt capture. That really does increase so much efficiency and streamline anything for clients in the practice. ChatGPT, I guess that's kind of copping out because it's in ClickUp too, but ChatGPT changed the way my business ran. And even now to this day, I don't think a day goes by where I'm not on there sense checking something. And the more features that are released, the more tasks it takes off my plate so that I don't need to hire a full-time member of staff as the business is growing and scaling. And then I guess Xero.
Yeah.
Xero is the backbone of our practice. The majority of our clients are on Xero. So I guess I wouldn't have practice without it. It would be a long time doing it all on spreadsheets.
Cool. How often do you review your tech stack? Do you do it quarterly,
Monthly.
annually? Yeah, monthly. Yeah. So
I have a month. Go on.
Do you review it as though when you find an error with something that not quite syncing quite well, or do you commonly think, right, I've done this, could I do it better, kind of thing each month?
Yeah, so I have a task in my ClickUp to tell me to review my tech stack every month, because things change so quickly in business, and especially in a world of data security and cyber attacks and things like that. I think it's really important to keep on top of any security breaches, being aware of anything that might impact yours or your client's data. As bookkeepers, we have such a responsibility to make sure that we are cyber aware and cyber security, because we're handling other clients and business owners' financial data, which is incredibly private and should be kept so to the best of our abilities. So I have a monthly task in my ClickUp where I review my tech stack. I like to review the pricing as well, because sometimes price increases and scope creep increases. But I love to keep everything as streamlined as possible. Efficiencies and time saving is where I thrive. I'm a northerner. I don't like to spend money unless I want to. So unless I really have to, I'm a cheapskate. So if I can find a software that's already doing something that maybe I don't know it's got that functionality, Microsoft Forms was a huge one for me until I got ClickUp Forms became really, really good, because I was using Jotform and having to go into another different bit of software and then connecting all the Zapier interlinks to automate it and put it back into Microsoft. Microsoft Forms just suddenly took away that need. I've always used Microsoft Bookings. I don't need to look at Calendly. But should Microsoft Bookings ever fail or have issues, then I would have to look elsewhere. So yeah, a monthly recurring task in your to-do list, as if we're not busy enough, I think is the way forward.
Have you ever had a disaster moment with software, kind of a real tech tantrum? Can you explain a little bit about that and how you resolved that issue?
Yeah, we had a really bad one with a client a few weeks back. So it wasn't our side, it was their side. So their Microsoft subscription lapsed, and they hadn't renewed it in time. I don't know whether they changed something in the settings and the auto renew hadn't happened, but for some reason their Microsoft cut out because they'd not paid the renewal for the subscription. So that was on like the Friday or the Saturday. They came in Monday morning and set up the subscription. But what it did do was it corrupted 99% of their OneDrive. So we lost 10 years of order spreadsheets. We lost absolutely everything for 10 years of a client's business. And we managed to build it, collect it all back eventually, but it meant me going in and doing a lot of extra work for them to try and find out where ClickUp saved the day, because in ClickUp I'd been keeping track of all the orders and where they were, so we could then work back of where had we invoiced what order number related to what order, to try and work back and see where we were and what still needed to go out. I work very closely with my clients at ABCS UK. Like in the practice, we have a very relationship-based, small client base, but very high quality and very high touch points. So it almost became my job to help fix it, because technology is my strength. It's my strong suit compared to them. And we got back 99% of their data. But yeah, it was horrific.
Wow. What's your advice for bookkeepers who feel overwhelmed with all the software options out there? We've all been to like Accountex, you and I often meet up there, and you see all these bright, shiny new softwares, but it can be very overwhelming. What is your really good top tip for helping bookkeepers with feeling so overwhelmed with the choices out there?
Yeah, see, I love being an early adopter. I love a new bit of tech. But for me, when I go to Accountex and events and things like that, I only even look at a new software if I have a problem I'm looking to solve either for myself or for a client. So Cresco, I've been using Cresco for automated payments for nearly 3 years. That came about because I was looking for a fee-free way to get money into my clients and to my own bank account. I didn't want to pay Stripes fees. I didn't want to pay Go Cardless fees, because my client base is quite small. I don't need the automated payments so much. So that was a big thing for me. But yeah, the top tip is, if you don't have a problem, if you don't have a solution that you're looking for, or your client has a problem that needs solving, enjoy the event, go and talk to them, but don't feel overwhelmed to go and look for something or take on that new bit of software if you don't need it.
Yeah. Now we come to the quick fire round. So iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Xero, QuickBooks or Sage?
Xero.
Coffee or tea?
coffee.
What is the one piece of tech advice or business advice you wish you'd learned earlier in your business?
Ask for help. Ask for help. I wouldn't be where I was if I hadn't asked for help.
And my final question for you today is, what app do you think is underrated and deserves a little bit more love?
I think ChatGPT needs more love than what it is. I think only the people who use it really understand its benefit, and those that have maybe just touched their toe in it and gone, oh no, not AI, they don't understand the benefit to your business and to your everyday life.
And I think this is where we have to say, subscribe to the premium version. It's so much more better than the free version and so much more secure as well. I use ChatGPT and I think it's fabulous, especially for deep diving and actually looking at discussion points and looking for comparisons of things. That's amazing for that. It will actually do all your research for you, so you have the basis of any sort of query you can answer.
It can answer 99% of any problems. The one thing it doesn't answer is tech exam questions. So for those who do use it, do verify their information, because what I did when I did, I put one of my employees, ex-employees, through the level 2 bookkeeping, and I put the exam questions into ChatGPT with the multiple choice answers, and at least 70% came back wrong. So my big top tip is ChatGPT is amazing, but do verify your advice before you start telling people what you've read. Don't take it as gospel and just go and check the sources and check that information is correct. But it does save a lot of time searching and scouring forums, because it gives you, it cites sources now, so you can just click on them and just double check if that is legit or not.
Brilliant. So that's the end of the episode today. I just want to leave the last couple of seconds with Stephanie giving a shout out to her own podcast. So if you want to just shout out your podcast for us.
Of course I can. So the 3Bs podcast is a 15-minute short chat episodes every Thursday, 6 a.m. on podcast platforms, 8 a.m. on YouTube, where we build better businesses in 15 minutes each week. It's CPD certified. So again, if you need your CPD hours, you can get 13 hours a year just by listening or watching me for 15 minutes every Thursday.
That's brilliant. And thank you very much for being a guest today. And thank you everybody for watching. So thank you.
I've loved it. Thank you.